coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Monday morning. I do not have the flu. I do have a voice thing going on that my daughters gave me, but luckily I did not go through what Boomer went through with Flu B that knocked him on his ass for multiple days. But we have a huge week of New York sports this week, so happy that you are back. Of course, we got Game 2 with the Knicks in the postseason as they had a little bit of scare from the Pistons on Saturday, but then they did flip that switch. Great weekend at Citi Field for the Mets over the Cardinals. A little bit of controversy yesterday with the Yankees, but an easy win. And the NFL draft, finally on Thursday night. We're going to have Phil Simms in here from 7 to 10 to break down everything. Happy to have you back.
Phil Simms!
Happy to have you back, Boomer. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, all right, G. I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there. It's been a long 5 days. That's all I can tell you. And it's still lingering a little bit, but I think I'm past the contagious part. It was a beast, man. It actually took me out right after Wednesday's show.
Yeah.
And missed Thursday, Friday, was not feeling great on Saturday, although I started to come back to life on Saturday. And even yesterday was just a long, kind of a long, meandering day. This morning, I slept through my alarm clock.
Oh, geez.
And got here, as you know, about 20 minutes before the show started.
Yeah.
So, it's going to take a little bit before this fully gets out of me, but I'm here ready to rock and roll because, as you said, this week is really amazing because you got the two football teams doing their drafts, and we got a third and a seventh overall pick. We got Phil coming in, as you said. We got two first-place baseball teams. I think when I looked at what happened at Citi Field with the Cardinals this weekend, this is exactly what Steve Cohen envisioned. He envisioned Friday night, and a Friday night where, Francisco Lindor comes through with a bomb, and they win the game and walk off a style. And this is why you pay a guy $765 million. Even though it wasn't Soto, it was Lindor. But this is why you charge up the troops, if you will. And the way that the Met fan acted this entire weekend, the way that they essentially sold out the building for 4 straight games, this is exactly what I think Steve Cohen envisioned. Now, we only need about 15 more of these.
Well, yeah.
A home series like this. It's only going to get better because, certain guys are waking up a little bit. Certain guys are coming through in the pinch a little bit. And I know that there's been some consternation and opinionated negativity towards Juan Soto. It's 25 games into the beginning of his career as a Met. I mean, my God. And he has had an influence, whether you'd want to believe it or not. But coming through yesterday was big for him.
Yep.
And I think that, the Yankees are just chugging along, except for one, bullpen meltdown again by Devin Williams. Everything is fine in both Yankee and Met land right now, and they're where they're supposed to be. And I think they're right where everybody expected them to be.
Yeah, and a great weekend at Citi Field in April, no less. I mean, we're not talking about them in first place in August or September, and then everybody's all fired up about the team going into the playoffs. I mean, this is a April weekend. Like, that doesn't generally happen. School is still in session. It's an April weekend. It's a holiday weekend. The place was packed. So you're right. Those are all people that bought tickets in the offseason knowing that Juan Soto was going to be here. And so far, so good. But we do have the postseason here with the Knicks as well. And this was an ugly performance by them for 75-80% of the game. I did not like the way that they played at all. I really didn't. They were giving up too many three-pointers. Their defense wasn't where I wanted it to be. It took a long time for Karl Anthony Towns to get going, and then bang, they ran him right out of the building. So I felt great after the game. I felt tremendous. But during that game, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Especially when Jalen Brunson went down.
Yeah, and
you're thinking, oh, my God, here we go again. He's going to be hurt again. And he was kind of limping around. Once he went down, he was still limping around the rest of the game.
Yeah, no, I know. And they're talking about it on the broadcast about how the strength in that ankle probably isn't quite there yet. And there's a lot of things with him, cutting and stopping on a dime that he's going to have to get that strength back. But, yeah, I mean, it was a little bit scary to see that, but he still battled through it. And you had some unbelievable plays by him and some off-balance shots by Karl Anthony Towns. OG Anunoby's offense really kept him in the game when the Pistons were trying to run away with it. But still, I mean, this isn't – we know the Celtics are one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. The Pistons are a team that, they got Malik Beasley who hits a bunch of threes. Tim Hardaway was draining threes. Tobias Harris is draining threes. I'm like, guys, you're not going to go anywhere if you can't defend the three-pointer, for God's sake.
That's exactly right. But I also know that Cameron Payne saved their ass.
Yeah.
I mean, he came out of nowhere, and he stepped up big, and he's got playoff experience. And, they were doing the right thing. They were feeding it to him, and he was shooting it. He's got that weird shot.
Well, yeah, lefty, right?
Yeah,
That's why.
he was on fire. I mean, and when you hit those shots, and again, to me, at least this was reminiscent of a little bit of the 90s basketball between these two teams. There was a lot of guys on the ground in this basketball game.
Well, yeah,
it was amazing to me how many guys were on the ground.
Yeah, I know, and more so from a Pistons standpoint. I mean, they know if they're going to win this series, it's going to be because they just grind them down. And I mean, a guy like Jalen Duren, they look like he's chiseled out of stone at 22 years old.
Yeah.
He's just pushing people around. You're like, oh my goodness. And then Cade Cunningham, took him a while to really get going, but then in the second half, he looked more comfortable. But, if they would have lost that game with the way that it was trending there before the 21-0 run, I would have had serious concerns. But we always have that conversation, that classic sports talk conversation about a team that seems to be getting a little lazy in a regular season or is bored by a long year. Can they flip the switch? They flipped the switch.
Well, I mean, against this team they did, because this team didn't shoot very well. And, again, you always talk about defending a three-pointer, and it's still something that they don't do very well. And let's face it, the Pistons in the fourth quarter couldn't hold on to the ball. I mean, and the 21-0 run was amazing. Because we've never seen that as a Knicks fan. No. I've never seen that as a Knicks fan. I've seen games where way back when, and for those of us who are older Knicks fans, do remember some of the most miraculous comebacks that a basketball team could ever have without the three-point shot. And that was when, Clyde Frazier always seemed, if we needed a three-point play, somehow he always got it. And that's kind of the way Jalen Brunson plays. He knows how to initiate contact. They're complaining about it already. We're one game in, and, the Pistons are already complaining about how he sells the fouls, which is what these playoffs are all about. This is you start writing the story of a playoff series, and we're one game in. And essentially, the Pistons are complaining about the way that he sells the fouls. Yeah. But that's part of his game. That's part of who he is. And that's, listen, I just think that OG Anunoby in the first half made it increasingly difficult on Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, he was
all over him.
Yeah, OG was the best player on the floor for the first half. And it's not like he disappeared in the second half, but he was the guy in the first half. It was amazing. But yeah, remember last year with Rick Carlisle in the Pacers series? Like, there is this thing that these other coaches have where they think that the NBA is going to give the Knicks the benefit of the doubt because it's New York and they want to be able to get the TV ratings. And, I know that the NBA would rather have the Knicks move on in a Knicks-Celtics series than the Pistons move on, but I don't think that the officials are calling it that way. But J.B. Bickerstaff and both Rick Carlisle, the last two playoff series we've seen, these guys are doing the same thing and bitching and complaining about it.
Take it from a guy who basically played, 10 out of his 13 years in small market cities.
Yeah.
And when we played a big market team, you just naturally feel that way. Like when the penalties come and the flags come at the most inopportune times, and you're sitting there going, what the F is going on here? You want the Giants to win. You want the Jets to win. Then I played for the Jets, and nothing like that ever. I never felt like we were getting the calls when I was playing for the Jets. As a matter of fact, I always thought the calls were going against us because I played for the Jets. So that mindset, I understand where the coaches are coming from and some of the players are coming from. They do have to say that, and they have to convince themselves in their locker room that they're dealing with just more than having to play basketball in their minds. I'm not saying it's right. I don't believe that that's the case. I'm on the same page as you are, but I will say that if I were the underdog, in this case, like the Pacers were last year, and they talked themselves into beating the Knicks because the Knicks ended up losing guy after guy after guy. If I'm the Pistons, I'm saying the same things. I'm trying to convince myself that I have to give more because I'm battling against more. And it's just a mindset that I think the underdog has. And I would say, Detroit's not really a small basketball market. It's a big basketball market.
Of course, yeah. I mean, they got a great fan base. Have won championships before. They're going to be fired up for Game 3, even if they're down 2-0, even more fired up if they find a way to win tonight. But, I mean, the thing that I'm concerned about, though, is, if the Knicks continue to win against this team, there's going to be more agitation. There's going to be more stuff, and there's going to be
elbows flying. There's going to be elbows flying. There's going to be stuff to the back of the head.
Injuries and suspensions and stuff like that.
Got to be careful.
Yeah, because that's exactly what, like I remember. Like there's so many examples in hockey where, and you've talked about this many times with the Rangers, like you can't let this team coach you into doing this or doing that. Like you see that all the time, like the agitators coming out, and all of a sudden you're getting a penalty for this or that. This is a totally different sport, but the Pistons play basketball like hockey. They're hitting people on every single time that they're out there. They're throwing elbows, hips, everything.
And remember, from their perspective, their fan base wants them to play like this.
Oh, yeah.
Because their fan base has that love affair with the bad boys, just like we have our love affair with the 94, 96, 99 Knicks, and the way that they played basketball with Patrick Ewing as the lead guy, for most of those except for 99. But the thing is that they're trying to live up to that history. And everybody, knows it. Everybody's openly talking about it. All the people, the analysts that are covering the league, that's all they harken back to the bad boys.
Sure,
and
of
Bill
course.
Laimbeer and everybody else. So this team wants to try to be that way. And the other team coming into this, whether we believe it or not, it doesn't matter. But the overall or overarching theory about the Knicks is that they're soft.
Well, especially with Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, and that's frustrating from a Knicks fan perspective, and there's times where he'll hit a three and he barely just jumps up in the air, and it's so smooth and perfect, and then he makes these acrobatic shots to keep him in the game.
When he goes into the paint towards the basket,
authoritatively,
and he's dribbling the ball, I'm like, you want to get in front of that?
No, you don't, but he doesn't do it enough. And then defensively, he's just kind of like lumbering around. I don't know. He ended up having a pretty decent stat line by the end of it. It was shaping up to be pretty underwhelming at first, but I mean that whole soft thing comes from Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I know, and that's so Mitchell Robinson played a few more minutes than he normally was. He's up to 18 now. He went with 9 guys. Tibbs went with 9 guys in rotation, so that was good. I just think that. It was a dicey first half. Let's put it that way.
What was that? I mean, it was a dicey 3.5 quarters is what it felt like.
That 21-0 run where the Pistons couldn't hold on to the ball. They kept turning it over, bad passes.
Chucking up bad shots. I mean, that's what a relentless defense can do to you. Yeah. I mean, and that's really the biggest point of that is that whole 21-0 run started because the Knicks were playing their best defense in the game. Out of all the celebrities there. Yeah. Like which celebrity had like the negativity, like, we're not going to win. We're not going to win. Because, that's the way celebrities are. John McEnroe. Nah, see, he's an ex-athlete. I don't see John McEnroe feeling that way. I see him screaming, ratchet up the intensity here, like in a final set of a major or something. Okay. I could see him throwing a racket and everything. Like I believe that he's got substance to him because he's been a champion. He knows what it takes, and he can sit there and he can feel it. I think like Michael Strahan's sitting there. Yeah. I don't think he is, for the faint of heart. I'm talking about the faint of heart celebrity because they kept showing him all over. Yeah. What about Susie Essman from Curb Your Enthusiasm? She was the wife of Jeff. The character Jeff, and she would always fight with Larry, and she's always there. She's someone they showed her a couple times, didn't look happy. Spike Lee is always up and having a good time, and he's always seems like he's extra positive about stuff. So it's not him. I don't know who. I don't know. He's seen a lot of losing basketball though. Fuck, I mean, close up. Nobody's been more close up than he has. Yeah, Do you think he annoys the other team? Of course he does. Yeah, he does, right? Yeah. I think he just, and I think the other team wants to come in and just like stick it in his face, let alone the Nick player's face. Without a doubt. I mean, it goes back all the way to Reggie Miller and him. I mean, come on, this is like this is what it is. And Spike Lee, he's a legitimate Knicks fan. He's a Fugazi fan and everything else, where he'll just show up when a team is playing well. Yankees, Mets, St. John's, Giants, Jets, and all of a sudden he's there. But he is a dyed-in-the-wool Knicks fan. There's no two ways about that. What do you think about Ben Stiller? No, he's super positive. Super positive. I mean, you think like in the middle of that third quarter, when it didn't feel like the Knicks were going to be able to, win the game? I think he was. But if you look, his stuff always pops up on my For You. I don't follow him, but
Well,
when
I know.
he talks about the Knicks.
Yeah, when he puts up Knicks stuff, he's like fanboy.
Right,
He's
right.
100% fanboy. I get that. Which is good. He's positive. But do you think that down deep he's thinking, oh, man, we're going to lose this game?
No, I don't think so. I think that those celebrities that are there have a much more positive outlook than the guys like us who have dealt with negativity throughout the years here in New York sports and have to talk to the fans about it day in and day out. I think that guys like Ben Stiller are just so much more positive because they don't have to deal with that. They're not thinking about Monday morning like I was going, oh, my God, the Knicks fan is going to be screaming at us after this loss.
It definitely impacts us in a completely different way.
I mean, I was getting annoyed by them and their play at that point, and I was also getting annoyed thinking about this morning, saying, like, I can't – it's going to be tough to defend the team if they end up losing this game.
I kind of feel the same way, and I kind of feel like it was a little bit selfish of us, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's always, but we're selfish people when it comes to those things. We want what's good for the show.
How does it impact our life?
Well, yeah, in our show, that's really what it is. And that's okay to be selfish in those situations.
And that's a lot of baggage you got to carry around.
It definitely is.
It is baggage. Like, people don't realize how much baggage there is.
We're carrying a ton of baggage. And then the man who carries even more baggage than us, Phil Simms, will be joining us at the top of the hour. 7 a.m. Excited to see him.
Man, this is his time of year right now, man.
Oh, yeah.
This is like hand sizes, thickness.
Yep.
Arm angle.
Butts. Yep. So can't wait to talk to him about all of that.
What he thinks, in a good mood.
What he thinks the Giant.
Oh, man. See, if he's like that, we need him to be in a good mood.
Oh, yeah. I think he will be.
I mean, it is draft week.
He should be. He's got no reason not to be.
Oh, I'd do it. Yeah.
I'd do it.
I'd do it.
All right, Boomer and Gio on the
I
fan.
had our jerseys, and I forgot them.
What? What'd you say? What jerseys?
I had his jersey and my jersey.
Oh, okay.
Since we were going to talk football, I was going to put the old jerseys back on. And I forgot them.
Missed opportunity. That's what happens when you sleep through your alarm.
I know. I didn't want to be here late, so.
All right, very good. Just getting started on this Monday morning. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.